what's your story? I can choose the kind of life I want to live, and so can you. You want to change your life, you change your thoughts. What will be your story? Because whatever story you're telling yourself right now will be your story. How would you like other people to describe you? So right now, somebody somewhere is talking about you. Might be your children, might be your coworkers, might be your spouse, your partner, a friend, your family members. Somebody's talking about, what would you like them to be saying? When you're positive, your perspective is broadened. You are able to attend to take in, to notice more information from the world around you. You're actually smarter. Your brain works better when you're in positive. But again, isn't it interesting that the default is negative? So we have to work at creating positive. How do you want to describe yourself? And when you think about your future, what words do you use to describe yourself? And it's important to use those words right now and to live your life in a way that people describe you in the way you want to be described right now. Sometimes when I do longer sessions, we do this as a eulogy exercise. Has anyone written their eulogy? Oh, that's an awakening experience, let me say. So you write down the words that you wish people would use to describe you when you leave this world. If you want to know what really matters to you, do that exercise. Very enlightening. And then what's beautiful about it is you can look at that today and say, am I doing that? If I want you to describe me this way 112 years from now when I die, is what I'm doing today reflective of that? Now, what's interesting also about our brains is you can only be in one place at a time. If you are in negative, you can't be in positive. But what I really love is if you're in positive, you can't be in negative. Now, when I ask people, as I'm going to ask you, which one would you rather be? What do most people say? In fact, every person says that. I haven't met one person yet who said, oh no, I like to be miserable and I like people to avoid me. Yeah, haven't met one person like that. Of course, we all say we want positive. So when I say go big, that's your cue to remember about looking for what's good in the world. Because you know what? All the other stuff is there. Everything else that's not good, oh, it's there. But when you choose to look for what's good, that's what you're going to see. And remember, your brain will change automatically on purpose. And when I think about stress, I think about the way we work and what we tell ourselves about work, that work is laborious, that it's hard, that it's something that we have to do. Here's how we look when work is something that we have to do. I have a question. When and where do you have your greatest moments of insight? You know those moments where you just go, yes, oh yeah, that's it. Where are you when it happens? Shower? Did someone say in the John? Okay, yeah. In the shower, in the John. Where else? Sleeping, yeah. Isn't that fascinating? I've asked this question thousands of times. Never once have people said at work. Ever. No one's ever said that. It always happens when our brain is quiet, always. That's why that drifting off to sleep, that waking up in the morning, if you don't already have a little notepad beside your bed, you want to have one, right? Because that's where your big ideas come from. Even our vernacular in organizations around wellness, we talk about work-life programs as though work and life happen at separate times. My proposition to you is if we increase our play, we will decrease depression, we will decrease stress, and we will increase the quality and quantity of our lives. I know that some people gave you some beliefs as a gift, maybe your parents. Here, take these. But you don't have to keep those. Those might not be beliefs that serve you. They might not apply today. They might not be useful. But what you decide to think affects everything about the meaning you add to what you notice in your life. Affects everything about your interpretation of the world, of any data that you take in. Work, play, and life all happen at the same time. And here's how we look when we believe that to be true. It's written all over our eyes, in our smiles, and all over our bodies. And if this is what it looks like on the outside, you can imagine what it looks like on the inside. Your thoughts create your emotions, and your emotions drive your behavior. Now, the scariest part of the equation for people is often emotion, particularly when it's negative emotion, because we have a potential to be hijacked by our emotions. Has anyone ever been hijacked out there? Is that just me? Okay. People are like, oh yeah, it just happened like 10 minutes ago. Yes, being hijacked by your emotions is when you're like just having an average day, you're driving down the street and suddenly you're flipping the bird at the next guy in the next car, right? It's like, wow, I don't know where that came from, but I just did it. It can turn the most together smart of us into this in about a second, right? When we're not aware of our emotions. Or this, which is scary, because that's when we really start to potentially destroy relationships. Now, negative emotion is a part of life. Although my business is positivity speaking, I don't mean that you suppress negative emotion. In fact, that's the worst thing you could do. All the research from a brain perspective around negative emotion says, say it, don't spray it. Well, that's what I said. That's not really what they said in the research. But what they said is, don't suppress negative emotion. When you push it down, it just gets bigger. And that's why, you know how sometimes something happens at work and it's really irritating to you and you don't say anything about it. You just go, okay, I guess I have to suck it up. And so you carry on and you get home and then somebody's left something lying around or the dishes are left out and you lose it, right? Yeah, the top of your head blows right off. Well, it's not about those dishes, right? It's about those 12 other things that happened that you didn't attend to. I go to the gym just about every morning. I go to Shapes. I'm one of the 6 a.m. people. Any other 6 a.m. people out there? All right, people, my people. So I show up at the gym. We're often not awake, but we do show up to work out. So our instructor comes in the other day and she goes, okay, there's this thing going around on Facebook. And women have texted their spouses and said, I love you, sweetheart. And then all the responses that came back, they put on Facebook. So you can imagine the responses were, what happened to the car? What did you buy? Right? These were the responses. So we all thought that was really cute, so that's fine. We work out. We come back the next day. One of the girls in my class says, hey, you guys, I texted my husband yesterday. But after, she heard this, so she said, I love you, sweetheart. And the response back came, who is this? Every night, write down 3 things for which you're grateful. Any 3 things. I started doing this a couple of years ago. When I first started, I was writing things like, oh, the light in my son's eyes, the moon, it would be really big things, right? Now it's like dental floss, raisins, it doesn't matter what you write down, any 3 things. But what's nice is when you do that at night, you'll sleep better because you're going to bed with positive brain. You will sleep better. You'll have better ideas, insights as well. And it gives you a chance to really increase your happiness. All of us should come up with our own power pose for every day. I have one that I use before I go on stage. So I'm in the bathroom, I do my pose. Now, I don't walk in like that because no one would hire me, but I do it in there because you know what? It gives me power. I feel different when I do that. So she invites all of us to do that. So what I want to get near the close to invite you to do is to think about your power pose. And when you walk out of here today, be walking in your pose, whatever that is. And what is life all about anyway? Really? You ask any parent what they want for their children, and they will say, I want my children to be happy. Of the top 5 deathbed regrets, one of them is, I wish I'd let myself be happier. Isn't that what it's all about, really? And I think for any of us to tune into that for ourselves, we have to ask ourselves why we do what we do. Do you know why you do what you do? I know why I do what I do. I get to help people have a life at work. I study things like happiness and positivity and resilience. It's great. Somebody once called me nauseatingly optimistic, and I thought it was a compliment. If you do nothing else after a day like today, but give positive feedback to people in your lives, let them know what you appreciate about them, it will be a better world.